Yo guys, what is good? I hope you're all doing absolutely amazing and are trading safely in the markets. It's your boy VGOK here and I'm finally back with another video. Now in today's video I'm going to be going over a US dollar JPY case study, and it was a sell scenario which in the end it achieved my final TP of 1 to 15 risk to reward. Now this trade, it was a counter trend trade, I was going against the trend. And it was a sell scenario, so we were in a bullish environment, but I was looking to take sell scenarios, and it was an example of a sort of distribution style of trade. This trade is actually executed on the 6th of April, so at the time that you're seeing this video it was about around a week ago, and it was executed within the New York session. So jumping straight into the analysis, and first of all we're going to start off with the screenshots as usual. So what we can see here is the before screenshot. We can see here that there was a previous point of interest, depicted by this red box over here, this supply zone right here, which then gave this reaction down, which then gave me, that correct area to look for further sells. Upon reacting from this area, we did have a nice looking buy to sell candle. We're on the 3-minute time frame here. So we had a nice 3-minute buy to sell candle, which I based my entry off of, entry at the open of that candle, and then having the stop loss just above the high right there. And looking into the after screenshot, we can see here I've depicted where my TP1 is going to be, and there was actually 2 TPs in this entire trade. I only took a after screenshot of the TP1 because the TP2 did sort of get hit overnight, but I'll go into that as we head into the actual chart and the full breakdown. So as you can see, this is on the 1-minute chart, but if we have a look at the 3-minute chart, this was the entry right in here. Obviously stop loss over here, and then having our first TP in and around this sort of area, because we did see a very big sort of rejection from this point here. There's a big wick over here indicating that there's a valid area of rejection in this zone, and it did lead to a break of structure to the upside, breaking above this point in here. So TP1, was looking to sort of take my first take profit in this zone right here. So jumping into the actual trading view charts for the full breakdown. Now before we actually have a look at the actual day of execution and the actual trade that I managed to take, so the day of the actual trade that I took was this day right here, but I just want to have a look at the previous couple days of price action just to see what had happened on US dollar JPY. Now as we can see, we had an influx of price coming in here, we had an increase of price in here, we then had a lot of flat movement over the next couple of days, and then it then resulted in a further upwards move over here. So from that we could definitely see we're in a bullish environment, we're in an uptrend. So technically we should have been looking for those buy style of trades, those buy scenario trades. But as we sort of hone in on the actual analysis and the actual sort of breakdown of the Asian session of the night before, and leading into the London session, obviously that's where we got our point of interest from. So obviously looking from the Asian session, we had a buy to sell scenario in this region right here, and it was a very aggressive drop off in price in this candle right here. So naturally this would have been a nice point of interest for the London session, and as we can see, as price comes into it during London session, we get a build up of liquidity. I'm just going to cut the chart off so it doesn't jump, so we can find our place again. And if I jump into the 3-minute time frame, what we can see is we can see the equal highs that were created during London Open session, and then it was around about 12 minutes after the London Open we got that buy up that took out the liquidity above these equal highs, and then we had an aggressive drop down. So it reacted into the previous supply zone, this previous buy to sell region which we identified earlier on, and it's also created another sort of similar piece of price action in that buy to sell price action. So using this as our next point of interest, and obviously forwarding the price just to see how we get into that zone. One thing I wanted to just mention just before we go into the actual entry of this, we started to get a lot of bullish movements from this point of interest right in here. So we had, respect of this demand zone. As you can see, this was the start of that rally, consolidation rally, or rally base rally, whatever you want to call it. But this is that sort of area where you can look for reactions. So we had a really good reaction to the upside over here, and as we sort of extend the zone, we can see it's reacted once more to fill the entirety of the imbalance that exists within there. So as you can see, it's filled in that imbalance quite nicely right in there. So we're starting to get bullish movements from, you know, these valid demand zones. So it made sense in that respect to say, if we were looking to target sell trades in this area, we'd only be looking to take at least our first take profit within this area right in here. So having our first TP, I'd be looking to take our first TP around this sort of area. So let's just mark that out if we are looking to get into those sell trades. So our TP1 would be looking in there, and as we zoom in, this previous POI which we just identified, we can see UJ's reaction into the zone and obviously how it's reacted into there. We do see a nice 3-minute buy to sell candle, and that was where I based my entry off of. So having the entry on the open of the candle right in there, like I stated earlier, and the stop loss around here, it's about a 3, maybe 3 and a bit pips of stop loss. And having our first TP down in here, achieving roughly a 1 to 7 risk to reward for the first TP. Now, because we were getting successful mitigations and successful price action of the bearish movement, you know, it made sense that maybe these wicks here would be taken out, because, you know, we had a successful mitigation here, but it didn't lead to any, you know, further higher movements. It didn't create any further higher highs. It didn't break structure above this point here. So that was telling me, okay, maybe this demand zone is not going to hold, and we could get another take profit point out of this. And looking at this whole entire sort of rally, I'd be looking to take my second TP at this structural low here. This was that structural point. This was that next higher low that created that next higher high. So our next structural point, if this is giving successful bearish movement, we should be looking to target at this structural low right in here. So having our TP2 in here would make a lot of sense as well. So this was our TP2, and our TP2 would be looking to aim for roughly around a 1 to 15 risk to reward trade right there. So as we forward the price, we can see exactly what's happened. So during New York session, this is it exactly at the start of New York session. Oh, just an hour before New York session, sorry. So this is an hour before New York session, obviously starts at 1 PM. And as we see how price develops, you know, if you weren't tagged into your entry in this wick here, you definitely would have been when price comes back up into here and then gives that bearish movement. So we can see as price gets into this zone right in here, we see that TP1 has been hit. So we took our partials at 1 to 7 risk to reward, and after that point I was happy to move my stop loss just near my entry to make it a risk-free trade, and setting an established TP at this point at TP2, considering we are in a uptrend but we are looking to sell. So usually if I'm counter trend trading, if I'm going against the trend, I'd like to set an established TP, just because obviously movements are going to be going against the trend. So as we sort of see how price develops and how price sort of moves, we'll see. So it comes back up, and even as we're looking at this now, you know, there are further entries that could have also been taken. So as you guys can see, there was an area of imbalance in here which looked valid in my opinion. So as we can see, that was the area of imbalance, and we saw the imbalance get filled in this moment here. Now, why was this imbalance area valid in my opinion? You know, at this moment here we had successful low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. It then decided to break to the downside in this area, and these were the last areas of potential bullishness before it really decided to drop off and, you know, confirm the fact that this move here was going to be bearish. So we had another potential point of interest within this imbalance. What happens once we get into that zone? You know, we get another distribution looking schematic in this area. We can see the manipulation that exists in there. As we go down to the 1 minute, we'll be able to see a lot clearer as well. So, you know, you've got that rally base drop sort of scenario happening in this area right here, and we can also see a clean imbalance being created after that imbalance had, the previous imbalance had been filled. So you know, you'd have confirmation for your for further entries as well. I didn't get in on these further entries, but just looking at it right now and sort of backtesting and looking at how price reacted, it's amazing how many opportunities the market will give you on you know, a specific pair. And again, targeting down into here, you know, we could have got another 1 to 4 risk to reward trade out of it, almost a 1 to 5. And obviously down to our TP2, where we'd be looking to take our, you know, our final profits on this trade. You know, that would have been another 1 to 12. So yeah, the amount of opportunities that this move gave was pretty good for in terms of an intraday sort of trade. Now, as we sort of forward the price, we'll see. There we go. It's coming. It's challenging this this area right in here. It does challenge it, and then we start to see price decline. And there we go. That the first TP of that 1 to 4, 1 to 5 would have been hit in this area right here as it takes that imbalance out. And as we see what happens, you know, it does break lower than this low. So you know, we are still continuing this bearish trend. And as we sort of forward the price, just to see how it moves, and I'll change to the 5 minutes so we can see it a lot more detail right here. Now it's a good thing I did actually set an established TP, you know, because it did happen overnight. You know, the TP was hit around 7 PM, so you know, to the close of that New York session roughly, or maybe just before the close of the New York session. And as we can see, you know, it happened very quickly. You know, within 5 minutes it would have hit the TP and it would have been back up to here. You know, so it was a good decision to sort of set that established TP, and as we can see, that 1 to 15 risk to reward was eventually hit right there. So there we have that full breakdown of that 1 to 15 risk to reward trade on US dollar JPY. Now, I don't usually trade US dollar JPY, but recently I've been looking at it a bit more. I've been back testing it, and in my opinion, it's been moving pretty well. It's moving pretty nicely, and it gives a lot of fractal plays as well. So I will be looking at US dollar JPY a lot more, so do expect a couple more case studies on it. But if you did enjoy the video and felt that you learned something and gained value from it, then please do give it a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. Also, to stay up to date with the future video releases, turn on the post notifications by hitting the little bell. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video for more of that trading sauce.